My name's Mike Hook. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Childcare CRM, and I help work with our new and existing customers for items like this to help educate, to help discuss what's going on in the industry, and to help bring some hopefully new and helpful information out to really everybody who's trying to improve and maintain their centers.
And I'm Lisa. I'm also here with Childcare CRM, and I'm the Vice President of Education and Training. And what makes my position unique is that I was in childcare and I actually used Childcare CRM for about 7 years before joining the team here at Childcare CRM. So I am the person who has been in your seat. I am the person who understands what you're going through and gets what you're feeling, and I'm looking for solutions for you.
So Lisa and I are really excited to have everybody join today. As we kick things off, we've got a little poll we wanted to start out with, just to better understand who's joining us today. So if you could, just let us know, how many locations do you currently have? And again, really, we just are here hoping to understand better a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today. Really, almost all of them are relevant regardless of size. It just depends a little bit on how you manage these different areas and how you manage the different mistakes. So we've got about 70% of our participants have answered this. This is great. We'll give it a couple more seconds here to see if we can get closer to 100. But thank you, everybody, for filling this out. All right. Well, we've got a really good split here today, all across the board from our different buckets. And without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So, to give you a little background on where we're coming from today, how do we know the material that we're going to present to you? Well, we've been in business here for 13 years, in this industry specifically. And in those 13 years, we've grown to work with over 5,000 centers on our platform in over 5 countries. We still have people from 13 years ago who are customers of ours. We have a lot of information. You heard Lisa kicked it off earlier. She was a customer who came to work with us. And we've got a couple other team members who are just like that. We've managed over 3.5 million leads. That means over 3.5 million parents have filled out information. Over 3.5 million unique different leads in the system, which means a lot of conversations, a lot of directors, and overall 875,000 enrollment conversions. So that's a lot of families enrolled, generating $29 billion in revenue. And all of this is to say is that the things that we're presenting today come from real customers, come from real industry insights. It comes from you. And so we're really excited to present this information today. So what's the agenda? What are we going to talk about? Well, what do you need to know about millennial parents? Your number one demographic. There is a lot to be said about millennials. There's a lot of opinions about the generation, and we're going to help bust some of the myths and give you some insights into what really matters. What are the 3 mistakes to avoid when communicating with parents? And then we want to give you all some actionable takeaways and next steps that you can go start using today to help improve your communication. So what do you need to know about millennial parents? Well, 80% of today's parents for children 12 and under are millennials. That's a really big group. And they grew up with phones. Millennials had cell phones in their hand. So I'm a millennial. I remember I went from the Nokia phone to the flip phone, the Razor that everyone was all pumped up about when that came out, to the BlackBerry, to the iPhone. Like, it's been a lifetime of phones. And what that means is because millennials have not only grown up with phones, but grown up with the internet evolving, grown up with technology readily available, the way that they expect and experience communication is much different than any other generation. So it's the how, the what, and the when that all matter together. If you have just one of the three, somebody else has more, it's going to provide a better experience. And so what do we mean by that? The how. Again, millennials grew up with phones, so texting becomes a very important form of communication. The what. Is it relevant and contextual to what they're looking at in the moment? How you communicate with somebody after they reach out for more information should be different than how you reach out after a tour. So the actual what behind the outreach matters, and when. When are you reaching out to these millennial families? The answer is immediate. And all of this to make it a really frictionless, easy process.
Yeah, Mike, I would just circle back real quick to that texting, because this is definitely something that has come out of our research. As you mentioned earlier, we work with an awful lot of organizations. And one thing that we have seen over the past 3 years, and it happened about 3 years ago, is this shift to texting. And this is enormous and incredibly impactful. We have found that when you send a text message to our millennial parents, they are 7 times more likely to respond to that text message than any other communication. And this isn't just something that's going to happen or that's starting to happen. This is a shift that's already taken place. So if you are not communicating with your parents and your inquiring families through text, it is something you really need to consider adding to how you are reaching out to families.
That's really powerful. So we're going to get in now to the specifics behind the 3 mistakes. But as we do, again, we're hoping to just get to know you all a little bit better. If you could fill out, what's your license capacity? So if you have multiple centers that you have, just give us an average of what the total looks like for you. Be really helpful. Again, I think as we get into this, much like understanding how many centers you have, this will just help us know how many potential children, how many potential families are you working with? The meat of this is the same, regardless of your size. It's just really about how you end up managing this. Both with limited resources when you're a little bit smaller, and also at scale as you're bigger. So, all right, we're right up around, just like before, near that 70% mark. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time here to let some other people answer. And then we'll get into mistake number 1. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my story here. So this happened to me just last week. Anybody familiar with Thumbtack? It is an online home repair referral service. And I have a sink that was very, very clogged up here in my kitchen. And I knew the issue was with the faucet. So I needed a faucet repair. And so I went on and I went on and I said what I needed. And I immediately started getting responses. And I had 3 plumbers who responded to me within 20 minutes. And of those 3 plumbers, one of them was very persistent and said, hey, we can get out to see you tomorrow morning. Here's what we think it's going to cost without kind of seeing the problem. Let's get this scheduled. And so I was able to connect with that particular plumbing agency, get them out the next morning. They were already here. They were already working on the sink. And then what happened? I got a response from a 4th plumber. That 4th plumber was out of luck. I had already talked with somebody, scheduled an appointment, and had a plumber at my house in the time it took them to just respond. And so that's mistake number 1, delaying your follow-up or not following up at all. When you're not doing that, or when you're waiting or hesitating to make that happen, you're minimizing your chances of conversion and getting those families to enroll in your center.
And Lisa, what was the timing of all that happened in?
I contacted them in the afternoon. They replied to me in 20 minutes. They were at my house the next morning. It was fast.
So
text, all by text.
So within hours, company 4 had already lost your business. just by not
Absolutely.
responding.
Yep.
And that's, you know, I think when we look at this, that's what I like to call going into the black hole. So like along with the delayed follow-up, there was not even a mention, hey, Lisa, we'll get back to you here shortly. We really appreciate you reaching out. It was nothing at all. So when we talk about a big mistake here, well, had they had some type of automation that could have reached back out to you, not saying it would have made a difference because you already had gone really far down with the other people, but at least it would have let you know that they heard you, that they cared about you, that they valued you, that they appreciated you reaching out. All of these things make a difference, especially when we talk about childcare. Plumbing's important. You got to get your plumbing fixed, but childcare, we're talking about a parent's most treasured thing in their entire life. So if they're sending communication out and it's going into this black hole, they're going to assume that these first communications are how you handle everything, because nothing really is going to be better than the first impression, right? That's how parents are thinking about this. So just by adding in some automation that says, hey, we're going to respond to you, even if the follow-up is minutes after, within 20 minutes, just giving the parents that knowledge that they're there is a game changer. And because millennials prefer texting, right? So 60% of millennials like to communicate via texting over any other medium because it's convenient. They respond really quickly. So point number 2 that we're going to go into for today is this idea of inconsistent communications and no guidance for parents. So especially for new parents, child number 1, parents don't always know what they need to know, but you do. So if you think about how you can help guide parents. So Lisa had mentioned earlier about the rule of 7 communication touch points. But what that actually means and the way that you can use these 7 or more touch points to really guide parents through this process is, what do they need to know about selecting a childcare provider when they first reach out? What do they need to know about the safety, the curricula? How are you engaging parents to want to come schedule that tour with your center up until that point versus afterwards? How are you engaging with those families to make them feel confident that choosing your center is the right choice for them, their child, and their family as a whole? A lot of different opportunities here, whether it be by email or text or video or phone calls, but having that wrapped together allows you to give parents a really delightful experience. And that parent experience, to Lisa's story earlier, becoming more and more important than ever with more competition in the space and parents reaching out to more centers than just one for that initial search.
Mike, I would add to that, when we're talking about giving parents guidance, we need to make sure with our parents, as we are explaining to them what childcare is, that we're using terms and language that they can understand, that aren't foreign to them. I know from my own experience, one mistake that I made was using language that's very familiar to me and to my fellow counterparts in childcare, but was really very foreign to parents. And so making sure that we're using terms and things that truly guide them in this process, as opposed to making them feel like there's something they don't know or there's some inside language that they're not aware of.
Yeah, I like that, making it really relatable. You know, the other thing that, I think about with guiding families in the inconsistent communication, for everybody who's joined us, like, who here just has too much to do? Like, when you think about your day, you wake up in the morning and then you blink your eyes and you're like, oh my God, it's 6 p.m. Like, this happened to me last night. I woke up and then the day was over. I don't really remember exactly everything that happened during the day, but I know the things that I went to were things that I had a calendar reminder for or an email that popped up. So in a world where everybody is so busy, in a world where gaining somebody's attention and keeping it is the number one currency that you can have, these little things make a huge difference. So having a core reminder that can go out to parents so that they know we're really excited to see you. it's very welcoming. So the reminder isn't just like, hey, don't not show up, but it's a very welcoming entrance. We're very excited to see you. We can't wait for you to come in at this time on this date. And on the flip side of this, you can have reminders go to the center directors as well, right? Letting them know, here's the family that's coming in, here's the time of the tour. It'll allow them to prepare a little bit for all of those special things that your center offers, or understand if there's things about the child and the family that they need to know. Because again, if communication is really important, if guiding families are really important, knowing that information and bringing that into the tour will allow you to stand out.
And I think the other thing, Mike, really speaking to what you were just talking about, is giving guidance, not just telling them what needs to happen, but making it very easy for them for those things to happen, making the process smooth, without barriers, without friction, so that they can do exactly the thing that you're looking for, which is enroll with your center. We want to make it very easy to say yes. And one of the best practices that's come out is this practice of sending the enrollment packet immediately following the tour, not waiting for them to say, yes, I'm ready, send me your packet, but sending it to them, having it ready for them to go ahead and take care of that enrollment right away. The assumption is the yes. You want to make it very easy for them to get there. And a best practice is a best practice for a reason, because it works. And so we know that by sending that enrollment packet immediately following the tour, you're going to really do two things. You're going to make it easier for them to respond, and you're going to shorten the time of that decision process for them. You're going to help facilitate that and make that a shorter window for yourself. So by sending that enrollment packet, you're really aiding them in their process towards enrollment. A couple of things that we know. Again, it shortens the time that they want to take. When you think about your own experience, think about your home. One of the things, and Mike, I know you're going to shake your head and say, millennials don't have printers. They don't have printers in their house. And so when you're sending that packet and you're saying, hey, fill out this packet and bring it back, the first thing they're thinking is, well, how am I supposed to fill it out? I got to find a printer, and I have all of these hurdles that I have to jump just to do the enrollment. And so anything that you can do, anything that you can implement to remove those barriers and make the process very simple is going to raise you in their decision-making process as an easy organization to work with. And then we also don't want to forget those families who are on the wait list. Again, we're talking about guidance for families. If this is their first child, they're on a wait list, probably don't even know what that means. And so when they're on the wait list, they're anticipating these things to happen. I'm going to hear from you, and I'm going to know when I'm going to get to start. So you want to make sure that you don't forget your families on the wait list. Engage with them. Maintain that excitement that they had when they came to first tour your center by engaging them. If you're doing an event, invite them to the event. Even though they might not be currently enrolled, they want to be, and you want them to be. And so when it's time for them to be enrolled, you want them to be just as excited as they were when they very first started.
I think this is such a great practice here, doing this, because similar to the reminders, like, we have short memories. And so keeping that excitement building over time, even if it's something that's absolutely essential, like getting your child in care, just makes it all that more inviting. I really like this point, Lisa.
Yeah, it really enforces that they made the right decision by joining your wait list.
And so number 3, we've talked a lot about communication and what ways to do it and how to engage millennials. Well, not all communications are created equal. So what we see, issue number 3, is sending emails and texts that parents just don't want to read. And so how do we optimize this? I'm sure everybody here, if you think about it, how many emails do you get that you just delete? Or those text messages you get because somehow some company or some politician got your phone number and they're sending you all these texts, right? Like, it's a quick swipe and a delete. You don't even register it. It's like autopilot. And because so much of that, and because our inboxes are so cluttered nowadays, it's something that we all do. It's become a natural response. And so this is where what we say and where we say it is really important. So you can see 59% of marketers say their biggest challenge is having enough time to create content that naturally nurture families, that bring them along in the journey. And it's going to become more and more difficult and more important. So what does it look like to actually do this well? So when we say keep your copy brief, so subject lines, 36 to 50 characters, right? So keep them short, keep them sweet, and also let the reader know what's coming. The email copy, the actual body, 50 to 125 words, sees an increase of over 50%. That's huge. Because as Lisa mentioned earlier, texting is here, right? It's come full circle. Even emails are being read on the phone, which means the screen space that an email is read on is the same as a text message. So by keeping that in mind, our emails, short and sweet, subject that lets us know. And if you think about the way people read emails and the way that they show up on a phone too, it's sender name, subject, first line. So having those short, sweet, really engaging in those segments will get parents to keep reading. And it'll also remind parents, hey, it's us, it's our center, you know us. The second big thing is personalizing this type of communication. Again, in an era where everybody's used to having their name used, their address, their information, where things should be sent from you as an individual, from an individual location. Having this personalization, it brings up all those triggers, right? If I see something to my name, I'm way more likely to read it. If I'm seeing something from somebody or some company that I know, I'm way more likely to read that. So if you have not only the parents' information, but yours as well, there's going to be a sense of familiarity there. And that helps to make sure that you've got communication that, again, is open, is read, and then ultimately, depending on what you're doing, is engaged with. Which brings us to number 3, making sure you have a strong call to action. So this should be the easiest to read, make it short, 2 to 5 words and action oriented. Schedule tour. Enroll now. Register here. Interested. Read this. Right? All of these really simple call to actions tell me as the reader, as the parent, what I'm supposed to do next. We want to be guided through the process. So words like this help do that. They tell me where I need to go. So again, schedule a tour is a great one early on. So somebody reaches out for more information, respond to them quickly, invite them to schedule a tour, and then make sure the material that you're using, you do want a little pop. Like there should be a little bit of flash there. The colors, the text, any pictures or videos that you use in these emails. As you can kind of see in the example here, we've got that little play button. There's a video coming there into an email. It invites people to come in. It invites people to read and engage with the content that you're creating. And last but not least, you want to segment your emails and text and segment the audience that you send them to. This is where the relevant information comes in. So if you've got a group of people starting on a same day, age groups in classrooms, specific waitlist reasons, maybe you've got lost opportunities. So there's a story for lost opportunities that I always like to talk about, and it's around the hours of operation. So we had a customer who was losing a lot of business to a competitor. And when they looked and found out why were they losing the business, why were they not getting all these enrollments that came in, the reason that they were losing them were because the hours the center was open. So what did they do? They were able to segment their audience, for the hours that were open. They were able to send a personalized, customized, quick email out about their new hours that they were opening and invite those parents to reach back out if it worked for their schedule. They were able to get more enrollments just by having that information. So really specific, again, personalized, segmented opportunities allow you to engage with parents in a meaningful way to help increase those responses, to help increase enrollments, and to help increase the engagement across your centers and your communication. So we want to give you a quick example of what this looks like. So we've got a good email on the left-hand side, unoptimized bad email on the right. And I'm sure a couple things are sticking out, but if you look on the right, it's just kind of a blob and it's really hard to read. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what the headline's about. It's just very overwhelming for me. It doesn't really engage me. I don't want to go read more. And then if you pop onto the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, I'm sorry, look at how it's broken up. There's a really good use of white space, of bullet points, short headlines. Reschedule my tour is a big green button telling me what to do. I can move through this email on the left to right, top to bottom really easily and understand what's in it for me. And that makes all the difference in these emails. So, I think one of the things we'll talk about here shortly is, well, how can you take this information and start using it today? So stay tuned to hear more. We do have a quick poll, one more question for you. But at the end of this, when we leave, we will give you a certificate. We will give you a recording, but you'll also get the ultimate guide to email marketing. So if you could, one more question for everybody who's joined us here today. We would love to know what we can help you with next. So if you'd like a free consultation to improve your email marketing, in addition to the guide, talking to an expert on our team, please select that option. We'll set up a call and walk you through it. If you'd like to see childcare CRM in action, how can you use our platform to do all of the things that we discussed today? Let us know there. And if you'd like to receive your email marketing guide, just click that so we know everybody will be getting this material. Of course, as we fill this out, we're going to do, we kind of kicked it off at the beginning. Going to do some live Q&A here with the group too for any of the questions, any additional information. And we've got about 60% of the participants filled out this poll. So we'll give it a little bit more time. Would love for everybody to fill it out. Again, we want to know how we can help you. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. We promise short and sweet. All right. We're going to go ahead here, end the poll in about 5 seconds. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. Of course, everybody who's joined us, if you didn't want to fill out the poll here at the end to have us reach out, don't hesitate to reach out to us directly too. You can visit us at www.childcarecrm.com, where you can get more information from our blog, from our podcast, from other webinars, as well as about the company and the products we offer as well. If you're interested, you can fill out a form for more information on the website. You can also reach out directly to sales@childcarecrm.com. Let's open it up for some Q&A.
Feel free to drop any questions in the chat or in the Q&A section. And we will make sure to get to those while we have you here. While we have our experts here, Mike and Lisa.
So I am seeing one question right now in the chat. What medium is available to send automated responses? I'm tired of typing the same information over and over to each email inquiry. This is a great question. So one of the things that you can do from a medium standpoint is you can have automated responses sent by email, sent by text message, and you can actually create multiple templates for every different point in the parent journey that you engage with them. So if someone reaches out, maybe you want an email to say, thank you so much for contacting us. You can click here to schedule a tour. And if not, someone will be calling you within the next 20 minutes. Now, following up that email, if you do call the parents and they don't get back to you, you can have other automation based on where that parent's at. So new contact, maybe there's emails following up. Hey, we've tried to get in touch with you a couple of times and haven't been able to. Are you still interested? And these can be automated templates that are sent out. Let's say now you scheduled a tour, right? It'll be that we're really excited for you to come tour our center. Here's the reminder that we were talking about earlier. Same with the tour follow-up. I know. So basically what you can do is you can set up where the parent's at, multiple different emails, text, call assignments that the system will send out. That's personalized. That's optimized for the parents. Everything we talked about today can be driven by a system. And then there's some personal things as well. Lisa, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we flip back to that slide about the personalization, if you're trying to do that manually, that can be tough. If you're trying to go into every email and put somebody's name on it, and we talked about a concept there called variable tags, where it's pulling information itself from the system and automating that process so that you can personalize things. And I'm sure that you've received emails yourself that have your name on it, and you're like, oh wow, how did they get that? They're just again pulling that from a database of existing information.
And we've got a great follow-up question to that one, again from April. She said, where do I go to make those templates?
Well, what I will say is if you're a current childcare CRM customer, you can go to the messaging templates within the system. You can also reach out to support for some help walking through that. If you are not using childcare CRM, we'd love to hear from you. We can show you a little bit more about how to do that. I know that you can also create templates in other platforms out there. So some people have used like a Google Doc that they copy and paste, not automated, takes some work on your end, but it at least has the same thing in there. We have people, and I've spoken to people before who use a Word document. Again, those aren't really optimized ways to do it. Our platform helps you optimize, automate, and personalize. But for those of you out there, there are multiple different ways to do this. So Lisa, I don't know if you had anything to add to that either.
I was going to say, I feel the pain, because when I started doing this marketing myself, I was doing it all manually with paper and stickers and folders and a Word document and my own Outlook. And I got to the point where I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be something that automates and does this for me. And that's when I saw a little postcard come across my desk about childcare CRM. And I was like, I knew it. There had to be an app for that. And that was what really spurred being able to have better and more consistent branded communication with those prospective families. Because look, let's be honest, I was one person. My particular organization had about 25 locations at that time. I'm sure that some of that fell through. I'm sure that I didn't communicate as I should have with everyone who was inquiring.
We've got some great questions coming through. The next one is from Sarah. She asked, what software can we use as an online booking tool that links to our calendars so families can see what time slots are available, choose one that works best for them, like a hair salon or a doctor's office?
Childcare CRM. That's exactly how parent scheduled tours work. The ability to tie, like your question, what you asked for, Sarah, is exactly how it works. Tying into the calendar, selecting availability, graying it out when it's not there. If you do any group tours, the ability to customize and configure that way. And for those with multiple people giving tours, being able to assign directly to that. for multiple center organizations, being able to filter down to the specific center as well.
And Claudia asked, another great one. She said, we try to avoid using cell phones throughout the day as I don't want it to be a distraction in the classroom or for the staff. And I also don't feel it's that professional. Parents begin to take advantage of cell phone communications, reaching out to me and staff at all hours of the day. Have any of your clients had similar problems, and what would you recommend to address those concerns?
So, Claudia, that's a great question. One of the things that we did when we built out our system personally is we've isolated all communication to come into the childcare CRM platform and the app. Meaning that if a parent reaches out by email or text or phone, it will come to childcare CRM. And this will allow you to not be glued and beholden to your cell phone all day, but still getting alerts when communication come in. So you know when parents are reaching out, you know when emails are coming in, you know when text messages are received. You can manage those all within one platform. So when you do have time and you step out of the classroom, you know, our top users can come into the system in 30 minutes a day and get everything done that they need to get done. So we've made the very conscious decision to keep the communication in one location for you so that you're not managing an email inbox, a phone line, a cell phone, and running around, but instead have all one place where you can centralize your communication to parents. And then all of that being, of course, documented as well so that you can use it in the future.
The other thing I would point out to Claudia's point is sometimes these inquiring families are not going to enroll with you. It's called funnel for a reason. And you might not want to share your personal cell phone number with people who are just inquiring. So this is really another level of protection for you by having all of that communication go through one system. You don't have to give out your cell phone number. You're not going to have to give out personal information to people who may not become a part of your program. Everything will be in that childcare CRM system, available for review for all of the users that you think are appropriate to see that information.
And we've got Barbette here who's asked, what do you suggest for email subject line and content after a parent tours? 3 to 5 days have passed and the parent has not, I'm assuming 3 to 5 days have passed and the parent hasn't responded. So she's asking for best practices on how to get them to engage after a tour.
You have any good ones, Lisa?
Yeah, you know what? The best way to engage people, especially when they seem disconnected, is to ask a question. You know, maybe say, hey, we haven't heard back from you. Can you give us some feedback? Is there something that we missed? Is there a question you still have outstanding? So really looking for those phrases that said, can we still connect? Or did you have remaining questions? Or are you ready to enroll? So things that are going to spur action and engage with them. And even if the engagement is not, hey, I'm ready to enroll right now, maybe it's, hey, I came out and I had this response myself. I didn't like your playground. Your playground was an issue. And so then I have the opportunity to take that feedback and evaluate what's happening within my own program as well.
Okay. And we've got one from Karen here, who is a current user. She asked, can you tell me the benefit of the new CRM Plus? They're currently on the legacy system and hoping to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, so go ahead, Lisa.
I was going to say the number one thing, based on what we're talking about today, is the template editor. It is so much easier. It's drop and drag. It's very simple to use. You can add more components. You can add more graphics. You can really have that brand presence, that email, like Mike said, that pops, that grabs people's attention. I found that very difficult to do in the legacy product, and in the CRM Plus product, it's a breeze.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'll add to that too is when you think about the new CRM Plus that we've released, it is the all-in-one platform for you to grow enrollments and manage your centers. So if there are nuances like little custom fields that you want to add in and then be able to get reporting on that, you can do that. It takes the marketing automation side to a next level with parent-driven drip campaigns that are really easy to set up, that sit on top of the already standard workflows that you have in place. And it allows you to say to if you do have multiple centers that you have, it allows you to go to your directors and say, we're invested in your success. And we've got a platform here that's going to help you communicate with parents, so that while you've got all the craziness going on in your day, and while yes, you're responsible for touring and getting things filled up, we want to give you the platform to do that, and then be able to get the information to understand where are parents coming from. Do we need to market more there? Where are we converting at? Who needs more help? There's so much more that I could go into. I want to kind of keep the answer short and sweet, but if you do have more questions on CRM Plus, if you are a current customer of ours, please reach out to support, to your customer success advocate. If you're not a customer of ours and want more information on CRM Plus, please reach out, sales@childcarecrm.com. We would love to talk to you more about it and the specifics of your business for how we can customize the platform to you.
Awesome. Let's see, we have one question here from Jessie. She said, what is the best way to manage wait lists?
Lisa, do you have any tips for that one?
With automation. That's my best tip there. And this is coming from somebody who had a binder with many, many tabs and dividers of wait lists and trying to keep track of who was a sibling and who was a staff child and who had priority over someone else. Having automation is really the way to do that. So in our particular system, Childcare CRM, you have not just the wait list, but you have the wait list by age. You can sort that by the days of the week, by their schedule that they're looking for. You have waitlist priority, you have waitlist reason. So you have all these different ways that you can manage and look at your waitlist, and you can do it quickly because you're going to have all of those families tagged as waitlist. So you're going to be able to quickly find them and say, okay, here's all the people, here's the birth dates. If you're looking at an infant class, you have somebody move up that you weren't maybe expecting, but developmentally they're ready for that move. And so you're saying, okay, now I need somebody who's within this age range. You can very quickly sort and find what you're looking for. And while I am obviously an advocate for our system, any way that you can automate that is going to be super, super helpful for managing that wait list. It also allows you to keep constant communication and engagement with those families.
Yeah, and it's let automation work for you. Be your friend. So do the segmentation, set up the pick lists, create the templates, and then enroll the families in that in those workflows. It'll allow you to have personalized communication that keeps those families engaged. And then when a spot does open up, you can then go pull your wait list, search by priority, and figure out who's ready to start now and are they in for this open slot. So it's a really nice way to be able to sort of step down the priorities of the wait list.
Well, do we have any other questions? I know we had some really great ones, and I tried to answer those in the chat as well for anybody who wanted to copy and paste those answers. And again, like Mike said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have lots of people on staff who, much like Lisa, have experience in the field and are more than willing to give you their best practices and tips for managing enrollment, your wait lists. So, okay. And I will send out the certificate of attendance and a copy of the recording no later than tomorrow. So be sure to look out for emails from Childcare CRM in your inbox.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.